Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the screenwriting step-by-step project, episode number 118. 118 of these suckers, in which I am trying to teach screenwriting in part by letting you share my screen, look over my shoulder as I write a script. Because while many teachers talk about the great formula for how to write a great script or how the business works, none of them seem to talk about the day-to-day process of actually writing the thing, building the outline, figuring out the scenes, understanding how the characters play out, all that stuff that you do line by line, page by page, how you go from word by word to big picture, back and forth. That's the game. And this is not the only way to do it. It's not the best way to do it. It is not the surefire key to success, because there is no such thing. It is just the way I taught myself, tried to figure out for myself in 25 years as a professional writer for movies and television here in Los Angeles, California. Hello, this is Hitchy. So what we are doing is I am coming here every afternoon, Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, to let you watch what I'm doing. And that's why I'm going to get right to it as soon as I say hello to Janae. Hello, Janae. And now, let's really get to this, because this is good stuff. I was away for the weekend, and now I am back at it, and I am going back in the outline. For those of you who are just tuning in at the moment, bonjour Arnaud. Very nice to see you and your very mid-century avatar. Okay, so here's the deal. In the beginning of this project, I just had an idea, 2-3 sentences, a rough plan, a thing I knew I wanted to do, but I didn't know how or what the details were. And then for months, I worked out the outline, step by step, figuring it out. And then I went through that outline, used it sort of as a things to do list, and I wrote the rough draft. That took another few months, and now we are going through the rough draft. I read through it, and I made notes, asked a lot of questions, tried to figure out what was working and what wasn't working yet. And now I am, I'm going to take a second here to ban a person who is not helping us there with their spam. Hello, Phil J. Hello, Rachel Waring. Good to see all of you here. Not being bots. I appreciate that. Anyway, so what we're doing now is I read through my script. My draft was 90 pages. Script's supposed to be 60 pages. So we already know something is terribly wrong. Then, scene by scene, there was stuff that wasn't working. So now I put all of those notes into the outline. The outline, I really urge you to think about this. The outline it's a place to work. It's not just something you present to someone. In fact, you should never present it to someone. Don't show it to someone. The outline is just for you. It's a place for you to do your work in, so that your work, your thoughts, your experiments, your questions, they are in the structure of the story. You have to find a place to put them in the scenes. That's why it's good to work in the outline, because the more you do that, you'll say, how does this go into a scene? Because thinking in scenes is the deal. Think in scenes. I did a video about that because it's so important. It deserved its own 10-minute video. Hello, iWrite. How are you? So what we're doing now is going through this outline, and when there are scenes that aren't working, I'm trying to figure out how. So I'll show you what happened to me over the weekend. I took a look at this when you guys were not looking over my shoulder, and I got to this section, which has a lot of questions. And it made me think about, because this is a, neighbors, gardener. Okay, so there were so many questions that I began to think about the group, about Xena and the group. And that brought me to the fact that in looking at this, I was like, wow, I've really solved a lot of this stuff. When I have a question, I'm putting it in this pink font because that way I know it's unresolved. It's something I have to fix. Okay. And I got to that, and I got to this scene, and I thought, wow, there's nothing pink here. I know what these scenes are. I know what I have to do here. But this scene didn't have. There's an unresolved thing, which is, who is this person that Xena was talking to when she heads out for her flight? She's talking to the high school student, a new character that I am writing. So I went back to where that character was introduced, and I realized that's where I had to go. That's where I had to answer the question. So this is what I did. I started to ask myself, what exactly are they? What is Xena trying to do, and who is this person? And here's the deal. The first thing that occurred to me was, in this scene, I have to make sure that it's very clear that this is a big deal. This is not just the group working as usual. Hey, let's get together and talk. This is, oh my gosh, a crisis has hit. A member of our group has died at the hands of a serial killer. I realized I had not made that quite a big enough thing on all these people's minds. And it's very important to the rest of the story. So, hello, Natasha. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I remember that down the line, I had realized I had this whole scene where Xena is going to, the reason that she is going to this place is to get George's evidence, which is in the basement. And I realized he wouldn't put it in the basement. He would have it in his studio where all his other information and equipment was. It just didn't make any sense. So I began to think, what is it? What is it that she's hiding, and where would it be? Because if it's not going to be in the basement, where is it? Why is it not with all the other stuff? So I asked myself, what exactly is it? And I realized it's George's evidence. But this is the thing. There is no evidence. So I thought, wait a second. She's going to get this evidence that George knew didn't exist, so he wouldn't have told her it was there. He wouldn't have said, hey, my evidence is hidden in the basement. So what did he tell her? What is she going after? And I thought, what made her think that this was there? I thought, well, I know that the scene is going to be her playing George telling her that like a recording of George saying, I don't actually have any evidence. That's the thing I knew we had. We have the fact that George has some reason or other recorded the fact that he is actually lying about this evidence, that he is using this evidence to lure the serial killer out of retirement. If he exists, he's going to come after him to stop him from revealing the evidence. By the way, are you guys keeping up with this? Because I'm just trying to catch you up on a lot of thoughts. So if I'm going too fast, let me know. Anyway, the point is, why I thought, well, that's information. If he's recording it, he's a podcaster. He would record it as a podcast or a documentary, something like that. But why would he, if he's doing this weekly podcast, and we've seen him a couple days ago recording the latest episode, why would he have done the last episode first? It doesn't really make sense. I mean, I probably could manage an explanation, but it just feels like kind of pushing too hard. So I thought, no, wait a second. If he knows that he's trying to lure a serial killer, what if he knew that this might be dangerous? Oh, thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. I assume that yep is, are you following this? Okay. So what I thought was, if there's no evidence, why would he have recorded something that says there's no evidence? I mean, until the reveal for the public. And I realized he would have done it as if I'm murdered, this is what happened. Okay? Because he knows he's trying to lure the murderer. Like, George sat down and he said, I need a way to make my podcast cool and break new ground. But this is a cold case. So I don't actually have anything. So what did George do? George said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to publicize the idea that I have evidence against this guy that no one's ever found, concrete ID of the killer. And I'm going to say in 10 weeks on my final podcast, I'm going to reveal it as a way to try and provoke the killer to make himself known, make a mistake. That's often what the police do. They will say, we'll release a bit of information to put pressure on the fugitive, on the killer, so that they make a mistake. So George would do that, but if he did that, he would be reasonable to think, maybe I should just leave some information for someone. So he tells Zena, hey, if anything happens to me, I left this thing with this information in my house. And he wouldn't leave it in his studio because if the serial killer comes after him to hush up the evidence, he might do something there. He might find it. So the thing I like about this is it brings a couple of elements together. One is it makes George not quite so crazy and stupid, but it also it's a legitimate thing that emphasizes the killer did it. So I'm going to remove that. He knew where to look if. This is exactly there you go. Knew he might be killed, told her where to look if. Okay, so this is just my thing. When I have come upon something when I'm writing, I write, like, wow, good idea, Glenn. So that's what that is. So he knew he might be killed. So they're trying to get George's evidence. He knew he might be killed, told her where to look if he was. So the thing is, that means she is quite simply concealing vital evidence that the police should know about because she wants to be the one to break the story. That is so Zena. That's really, really good. So, but she can't be honest about that here because she doesn't trust people like Norman to respect her desire for fame more than the solving of the crime. So now, I had this in this green type because I put it there so that I can remember to tell you guys when I make a change. There we go. They need George's evidence. Okay, so now this section is now good because I know what this is. But now here's the question. If it's a flash drive, why would she? Because here's the thing. And this is actually really important. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this directly to you with this. Use what you have. When you are trying to solve a problem, this is a video, by the way. That's the reason I'm putting that thumbnail up there. I did a whole video on this. When you are trying to solve a problem, you are not solving it just like, oh, I have to patch this thing. I have to come up with a good reason for this. I'm just going to look across the whole universe and think of every possible reason and come up with a cool one. That's actually not good writing. Good writing is you say, within the context of what I already have, what would this be? What would this... So this is really like a major problem for amateur writers, is that moment to moment, they just think, how can I solve this one beat? How can I make this cool? How can I... Whatever. The important thing is that you remember you're always trying to work with what you already have. Even if all you have is a rough idea, then at least you have that idea. You have a genre. You have a main character. You have something. In this case, we have a lot. We have a whole outline, a good 50% of which is on the right track. So one of the things I know is on the right track is this really good scene later where she goes, here. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, this is the scene uh, where Xena, inside looking for the evidence, discovers George's plan and freaks. While they were out at the diner, um, Xena breaks into the house, and here, I'm just trying to get back to where I was. Okay, so I know that I have a scene that I'm trying to build towards, which is Xena's going to break into the house, find this thing from George, and she is just going to be videoing herself as she just checks it out, because she's influencing, she's podcasting, she's trying to make her own activity an event. So instead of just focusing on getting the information, she wants to record herself getting information. And then we see her getting the news from George that he didn't have this evidence, that she murdered him for, though we don't know that yet. Anyway, so the point is, that's a great moment because we've got several layers of things about Xena that are true, and at the same time, she gets to get the news and freak out. And in that freaking out, she that's just as Madeline and Norman are coming home, and she's so wrapped up in her issues that she doesn't recognize her home. She's screaming and throwing shit and being angry, and they're like, "Uh-oh, somebody broke in, get the shotgun," kind of thing. So that I know that scene will work. I can see it playing. It's funny. It's true to all the characters. It's true to the situation. So use what you have. When you know that you have a good scene, a scene that's going to work, you have to go back through the rest of the script and build towards it. You have to say, how can I make that scene make sense, flow naturally, not be set up to so that it's given away. All this stuff that you want to do, once you come up with a really good scene, those become like the anchors, the rocks, the stepping stones for the rest of your work. Because you're like, well, now I know that this scene, this scene, this scene, those three scenes, I don't want to throw them out. I don't want to rethink them. I just want to polish them and make them work. So now I have things that are unchangeable, that are true. This is now locked in for this person, for this part of the story. And that is incredibly helpful when you are rewriting. Because when you're rewriting, it's very easy to just go off on a whole other plan, or to solve a problem with something that's cool in that moment, but doesn't lead in the direction the script is going. So one of the biggest things that a professional writer needs to do is learn how to not keep throwing out the good stuff to make new stuff. You want to hold on to the good stuff and fix the stuff that's around it that's not that good. Okay, answer Phil's question. With the Whodunit mysteries, do you find it better to work forward or backwards, or doesn't it matter? It does matter. I think you're just seeing, as we speak, that it's very important to work backwards. In the sense that work backwards is really a way of saying, use what you have. In other words, I have that I want this to be about X, that I want there to be a surprise here, that I want to reveal here. I know that Xena is going to turn out to be the murderer. So therefore, everything I'm doing before then is informed by not doing that, is informed by I need to set the audience up to thoroughly believe an alternative version of the story. That's the thing about a surprise or a twist or anything else. It's not just a thing that goes, whoa, hey, surprise. It's a thing where you were absolutely convinced of another thing. And then it turns out that if you look at it from the other side or underside or some part of it you didn't know, it's actually something else. That is how you create a twist. Okay? So, in this case, the moment that I'm trying to build towards is this moment when she is in their house, gets the news that I need the audience and everyone to know that there is no evidence. That's very important for the main story about the serial killer. So I wanted an interesting way to present this reveal that George didn't have any evidence. So I thought the best way is if Xena is finding out is disappointed. The problem is that information would probably be on a flash drive. And a flash drive is invisible to the audience. A flash drive is just, hey, I got the evidence. That doesn't help us. So it has to be something that she can play. Now, that could be on a flash drive, but as I asked here, why on earth would she play the flash drive while breaking and entering? You break and enter, you steal the thing, you go somewhere safe, and then you watch it. That's just, there's no way that that is not true. So therefore, it can't be a flash drive. It has to be some kind of old technology that she has to stay there and play on his equipment. And I was really proud of this. This is clever. Because, let's see. So I'm going to just make that, boom. All right. And the question is, what kind of technology is it? Because we're going to want to see him working on that material. So the question is it actually audio or video? It does kind of, I don't know that he would work on reel-to-reel tape. It just doesn't feel, the thing is, for a podcast, it would, but I kind of want video because I want to see her see him. So I'm going to, for the moment, I'm going to go with it's videotape. Like micro. So the thing is, he's recorded it on a videotape, which is a problem because who has the equipment to play a videotape? Honestly, times have changed very fast lately, and certainly Xena is not going to be familiar with non-disc, non-drive recording. So, because I really do like the idea that we're seeing her seeing him. Okay. Okay, but this is going to be later. The thing is, we are going to, this is a reveal that we're going to have later. I just thought of it now. So I'm going to cut it and move it to, VHS is really pushing it. They don't even make VHS anymore. iWrite had said VHS. VHS is now exclusively the territory of horror movies. People, yeah. The truth is, even if George is old, but he's not going to be that out of touch. He's podcasting. Why would he be podcasting and doing VHS? So he wouldn't be doing that. But he could easily have an old video camera, which he would use to record his documentary. So that I think works. Truthfully, it would kind of make sense for him to be working on reel-to-reel tape. The only problem is it's insane for him to be working on reel-to-reel tape to do a podcast. He just wouldn't be doing that. He could if he's like an audiophile, but nah, it's not going to make sense. All right. So that is a solved problem, which I will deal with later, which then gets us to the original question that all this came up about, was this scene down here where Xena is going out to the airport and we need to see her talking to someone. And the question is, who? And I had originally had it be her parents because I wanted to just give us a little background on her personal life. It just felt lame. It just felt obvious and uninteresting. And so I thought, let's add some more people to the group, which was another thing. This is it. Use what you have. Remember to solve as many problems at once. So if I had the problem that I didn't have enough people in the group and I needed her to talk to someone, have her be talking to someone else who's new to who we're adding to the group. Always, whenever possible, try to solve to use other problems to solve the problems you've got. To always try to have everything you're doing have have multiple uses. Like, this scene is A, showing the scene is going to the airport. It's also showing that she's got a screwed up family life, and it's giving us a little time with a member of the group that we need to add in. So that is, and the feeling I had was that this person should be in some way helpful, because why would Xena be talking to someone like she would have called them? There would be no reason that in the middle of the night, one of these group people would be talking to her one-on-one, coincidentally. We try not to do things coincidentally. So I have to add this high school student who idolizes Xena. Idolizing Xena is just a decision I made earlier. Use what you have. What I had was nobody in the group seemed to be loving Xena enough, and I wanted that. So I did that. Then I thought, male or female person am I adding to the cast? Because you try and decide what kind of show are you presenting. Is it sort of female heavy? Is it sort of male heavy? There's no right or wrong here. It's just a feeling. I kind of like the idea that they were female, but then I thought even better. What if they're non-binary? Non-binary to the point that we're not honestly sure of their gender. I thought that would be really fun. That's actually a point of pride and identity to say, why are you even asking? So that's cool. So as such, I'm going to give them Cameron a name, which could be either or both, and idolizes. So the question is, in this scene where we're going to have her Xena going to the airport, it's like, what does she need? I mean, Xena's pretty self-sufficient. Xena lives off her parents, lives with her parents, but doesn't need anything from the parents except money. So therefore, if she's going to the airport, she doesn't need help going to the airport, and she operates her business digitally, so she doesn't really need that kind of But I like the idea that Cameron is constantly offering to help. Okay. All right. So then the big question about Cameron is, what is their, it's a larger thing. Who is this person? What is it that they are in the story? And I thought, I don't have someone who's scared. I have Shrimpton who's kind of like, I don't want to be part of this, but that's different. I want someone who's in this group because they are afraid, and it's a way of dealing with their fear, to explore the dark side. And yay, Lynn, I am so glad. That is really great. Lynn, I appreciate that so much. Because this episode particularly, I am really plunging in the nitty-gritty work, and I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool to be able to talk about this. I have to tell you, one of the main reasons I am doing this is A, no one ever shows it to you, and B, when I was doing it, when I figure this out for myself as a writer, I'm always like, I always want to turn to someone and say, do you see that? Look at that. That's so cool. Look at how that works. So that's what we're doing here. All right. So when I'm adding a character, what I'm thinking is, look at the list of characters. I'm doing it mentally. There is actually one in the overview, and you should keep that and keep it there so you can look at it and get a sense of, what's my balance of genders? What's my balance of types of person? Is everyone, a selfish, crazy person? So what I wanted was somebody here who's kind of naive and sweet and not really into it for the crime solving as much as for the personal help that it's getting. Okay. Oh, yay! Thank you, Phil. So I think Cameron's arc is that Cameron is always scared, and they admire how Xena seems fearless, and that's why Cameron keeps offering to help. It's like, hey, can I help? Can I figure out why you are what you are? Okay. All right. So then, so that's add the high school student. Now, then everything else, and the other person is I wanted to add a conspiracy theorist. That's just going to be a bit, a gag, somebody who's just an annoying conspiracy theorist. But then we get to, so I'm going to move on to the next time we meet Cameron, because that is important. This is where we did it. Okay, so I thought it would be nice if Xena actually unexpectedly does need something from Cameron, but what? And I thought the best thing would be if it's personal. It's just better. Once again, you're always trying to do two things at once. So I need to introduce Cameron, and I also need to show us a little bit about Xena's personal life, not her business life. We've got a good sense of that. We understand her drive to do this podcast. We don't need more about that. So what we don't have is Xena's home life. So I thought it would be really cool if it's like picking up your dry cleaning, except something even more uncomfortably personal. So what I thought is Xena was going to do something with her parents, and now she's not going to be there, so she's asking Cameron to do it. And this is one of those things where this is kind of a comedy. It's like kind of a comedy, kind of a thriller. And so I think you can get away with this. But the idea was that Xena is actually tomorrow morning has to go to her parents and go with her parents to a brunch for their anniversary. And she's saying, Cameron, you go. Tell them I'm sorry I can't make it. And Cameron's like, I don't know them. I am a kid. And Xena will say, sing them a song. That's my anniversary gift to them, is that you, because she knows that Cameron kind of harbors the desire to be a singer, but is too shy and afraid. So what Xena is doing is spinning this as, this will really help me and it will really help you because you'll get to sing for a couple of people. It'll be nice. And so the important thing here is that Xena can't appear to be clueless. Xena has to know that what she's doing is slightly insane, but I don't want her to seem ruthlessly using Cameron, because let's remember, Xena's basic personality is she always tries to appear to be in some way helpful to other people. She's always the best buddy, the support, the confidant. That's her way of manipulating people. And we're going to see that later. So it's very important that now she seems like she's doing it as a helper, as helping buddies, as teaming up. So I'm now just going to make this. Xena was going to, is asking Cameron to go in her place. We'll also assume that Cameron lives in the same town as Xena because it's Los Angeles, it's a big place, why not? All right, so now all of a sudden I have a scene. Where I had no scene, I now have one. Xena is leaving for the airport in a hurry, talking to Cameron. So now I have a scene which is taking care of 3 things at once. It's also giving us a great little beat later where we see Cameron singing to these people who don't even know her. Also, I think of Cameron as fairly, aggressively alternative in her looks, unlike Xena. So therefore, she's good. They are going to be not suited to. Xena's parents are very bougie, very, upscale, out of date people, and that'll just be a good scene. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking. Boom. I think I'm going to just take. There we go. Gone. Trolls. I like to think that the trolls are coming because I am getting more recognition. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, so now we are going to make all of this into the gray. Okay, good. We have now solved this, and then we have to just add this person at some point, give them a name and some details. So look at that. So from a scene that was shrouded in uncertainty, we have now got a scene full of new details. This is why we do this job. Okay, so look at that. We have gotten, so now, as I scroll through the first part of my notes, I am not seeing much pink. I have to choose some names. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, yeah, that's just a technical question I have to figure out later. Pretty good. Okay, so look at that. We've got no questions yet until way down here. All right. Now, this sequence is, it's not working. The idea is just to check in on everybody else in the group, but Madeline and Norman and Xena, maybe even Xena. It's sort of like checking on the train coming down the track towards them. They are blissfully unaware of what's happening. So after they make love, we fade out, and then we show a sequence which is catching up on all the people. So now we want to add a beat. Cameron singing a song for Xena's parents at some very upscale restaurant. Xena watching from the getting off the plane. And no, so we're heading. So we've got Xena getting off the plane. And conspiracist bit. Okay, so now we just have that. Cool, cool, cool. But here, before then, the main thing is we need to shorten this stuff. It's just too long. First of all, I gave everybody 2 beats, the idea of which was to give a sense of their life and then have some kind of reveal. Now I've realized that has to be in each one in 1 beat. Okay. And the other thing is, I think we want to, in some way, connect them in some way. That's really the big question, is how it would be good to actually the best, I was thinking of having them listening to podcasts, but it's kind of not the group. The group is not a podcast group. They're a chat-based and Zoom-based group, a message board group. So, that is going to be tricky. Okay, with McLean and Shrimpton, I think we can easily bring them down to one beat, or sort of beat with a twist. But Dundosky, I originally had 2 full beats, and the question is, we're sort of doubling up on earlier. We had to show him being violent. Maybe that was enough. And now, what I've got here is, see, I've got the idea that he does violence and then leaves on his mission, so he's coming back. Why do we need more violence? We don't. We do not. So if we don't want to set up his violence here, then let's emphasize it here. Okay. So then, he's coming back to the aftermath of that violence. Okay. The problem here is that, well, see, my original concept for this scene was that Dundosky would very reasonably and rationally explain the difference between justice and revenge, or justice and the use of power for profit, which is really what it was. And then although he's been completely rational, he is horribly violent after it. Is there a way to have this be what if he's talking to the person he was violent to and explaining that it wasn't justice? It's interesting. I'm not sure if we need that, because the earlier scene was supposed to be that. What would this scene be then? Well, We've already seen Dundosky be rational, violent, and then when he goes to Mads, he's actually quite respectful of them. He like deliberately does not kill them when he could. We know he could, and we see him not. So the important thing here is to explain that he understands and cares about justice. In theory, I wanted that before the violence. You know, maybe it'll work that it's after. Or how about this? How about just simple? He reserves his justice care, his caring, his need for justice to the group. He is unjust and power hungry otherwise. I think that's it. I think the idea is that there is I have no room for justice in my business. Business is about power. Yeah, I think that that's it. Yeah, I think that's where Dundosky is. That's the rough idea about it. It's sort of like, it's sort of like the Sacklers. It's not great, but the Sacklers saying we're going to kill hundreds of thousands of people with our product, but then we're going to build a museum and endow a university, and that means we're okay. That's kind of not what Dundosky is doing, because what he's doing is not trying to cover up or buy off a bad thing. He's simply saying, I can't afford. Well, it's kind of like The Godfather, Don Corleone, being good to his family while he is ruthless in his business. That's what it is. Okay, so that's pretty good. We simplified that. Okay, look at that. We simplify it into a clear, short statement. That is the point of the outline. That is the name of the game in outlining, folks. Yeah, this is good. This is the deal. We are making progress here. All right, this is not yet. Okay, that is not yet solved, but this is better. This is better. This is better. This is not done yet. Okay. All right. Okay, we're doing good. All right. Cool. Well, that's a sometimes Sometimes it's not a full hour. Sometimes it's 50 minutes. It has been good to see all of you. We are getting a lot done here. At least I am feeling like that. I hope you are too. I will see you tomorrow. We will do more. Actually, tomorrow I might just do an Ask Me Anything. I will see if I can prepare that at time. It always takes a little work to organize those. So hopefully tomorrow or the next day, and Ask Me Anything. And in the meantime, I hope you will all go write something.